Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I understand patriotism, I understand nationalism, but the problem is you have to act, not only to talk. Talk is good, but then you also have to act. That is, show that you really stand for those values. What do we have here? We have an article from Russia Today, and is a very concerning article. The piece of news that these guys are running here tells us that the United States of America goes deeper in shit. And here we have where I said patriotism and nationalism. I understand to love your nation, I understand to love your country, but you have to show it. And how do you show it? You point to the things that could be improved, made better, and then you act upon it. You don't just close your eyes or try to shut down critics that point out to those things that are not okay and try to shut them down. Because doing that, you don't help the country, you destroy the country. So, in this case, let me show you this article, and then we're going to discuss how these guys are arguing against their professed interest and values. Russia Today, the enemies, right? November 11th, 2023. US credit rating downgraded to quote-unquote negative. So Moody's cites deficits and political polarization as a key reason for the move. We're going to read this further. Now, however, remember, if you speak with someone and they tell you that don't even bother about the US credit rating being downgraded to negative, now that's not a patriot. That's a person who doesn't want to face reality. Now that's a bad thing. That's a negative thing to have a credit downgraded to negative. However you want to turn it. Why? Just put your household, put your name, and see how you would like your credit to be downgraded to negative. So people who might try to defend because they want to defend, but by defending they actually cause harm to the United States of America, well, however they want to defend this downgrading, they can't. And I will tell you why they can't. Because the evidence points to a shittier life in the United States of America under the guide of the leaders. The leaders are the ones who get the country left and right, and they do everything they need to do in order to figure out how they can make things better, among others. Now let's look at the economy, look at the employment, and then look at our real lives. Go to the grocery store, for instance. That tells you the basics. Remember, is it Maslow, the pyramid of needs? The basic one. Just look at that one. The basic is to make sure that you have a shelter, you have food, you're not out in the elements. So the basic needs are at the basic of Maslow's pyramid of needs. So in order to do that, you have to make sure that you can eat. You have electricity, you have heat, you have basic, you can buy clothes, you can have, in our situation now, in order to have a job, you have to have gas to be able to purchase all these things at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, go to the gas station. Now the gas dropped a little bit. I expect it to go much, much higher in the near future. Let's put it this way. They say, well, it's just the weather. That's why. I don't think. I think it's just a manipulation somewhere. Someone is paying for something, and then eventually it's going to come back to us. We have to pick the tab. So look at the gas. The gas is good, right? Look at the gas in the past 3 years. I remember when that idiot called Donald Trump, right? When he lost the elections to this genius that doesn't know where he's at, gas was $1.70, $1.71. Now that was in 2020 in November. Now, where is it right now? Look where it was. It was what, $4? Now, it's still almost tripled in some cases, in certain states. Look at the food. Definitely the food jumped up. How about our income? Is it keeps up with the inflation, with the cost of living? Look at the energy. I mean, these are just a few examples. United States is going to be involved in 2 wars. They don't say it, but we are involved in Ukraine. Hundreds of billions of dollars going to go there. Money goes over there. Grants go over there. This country pays for Ukraine's, government, for services, for pensions. Things are not doing very well here. I'm being euphemistic right now, talking euphemistically. So this downgrading shows reality. Look at the debt ceiling. They broke it. They're up. They don't care. Put yourself in the shoes of the United States as an individual and see how you would like that. Remember, the United States is making, let's say, $100,000 a year, to give you an example, and debt is like $130,000, and you pay only for the interest. You don't pay the loans, and you print money like crazy. So this is a bad situation. And they try to move away from Ukraine and move into helping Israel, so-called helping over there. They're not helping. I don't think they're helping. I think they get us deeper in shit. Now they say the key move is, the reason is political polarization. Well, political polarization among us, not among them. So it's our attitudes that grow apart and become more hateful to one another. Whose fault that is? Do you think we just wake up in the morning and we start hating one another? Who promotes that? Who creates that? Divide and impera? Divide and conquer? It's them against us. Through what means? The mainstream media. And not only by that, but you have people who are telling the truth and are telling the story, the real story, the reality, or parts of it. And then people realize that they have been lied, and then they get polarized from the alienated from the government, from the institutions, from the rule of law, because they see these guys don't function by the rule of law, but we have to. So then when you see that, what are you going to do? Continue doing the same thing? Probably going to try to, how should I put it, learn how to maneuver through life like they did, using being an outstanding citizen. Well, it didn't work quite well so far, did it? So this boat is sinking. Are they doing anything about it? No, I think they're going deeper and deeper and deeper in garbage. Look at the house market. Look at the interest and loan interest. Look at that private bank called, Federal Reserve Bank. That's a private bank. It's called Federal Reserve, but it's a private bank taking care of what? Being the US's bank? A national bank? Are you crazy? Why do you think those guys are over there? For our interest? Or for their own benefit? Being private, after all. Wake up, my friends, in case you're not. So let's go and look at this article here. International credit rating agency Moody's has changed its outlook on the US from stable to negative, citing massive fiscal deficit. We had growth like crazy. Look at the Russia, that bad country's deficit, and see. And a notable decline in debt affordability as major reasons for the move on Friday. The downgrade follows a similar announcement by fellow credit rating agencies Fitch, which raised concerns over the state of U.S. finances and the national debt burden when lowering its rating for the country earlier this year. In its latest outlook, however, Moody's did affirm the long-term issuer and senior unsecured rating of the U.S. at AAA, and I'm quoting, continued political polarization within U.S. Congress. Well, that's democracy, but they don't like democracy. They like stability. Why they like stability? Because that's how they do business. If it's unstable, you have these profiteers over there, which are a lot of them. So either way, but democracy means, you have a little bit of, hey, we don't like this, we fight for the other side. No, we fight, and we have only two sides, which is imbecilic to start with. So, Congress raised the risk that successive governments will not be able to reach consensus on a fiscal plan to slow the decline in the debt affordability. It's not only the Congress, after all, it's the government, right? The Congress makes laws, the other guys make policies. No? The agency said in a statement seen by Reuters, according to Moody's and analysts, in the context of higher interest rates and without effective fiscal policy measures to reduce government spending or increase revenues, U.S. fiscal deficit will remain large, significantly weakening debt affordability. So Fitch had maintained its highest U.S. credit rating since 1994, while S&P, another credit rating major, downgraded the country from AAA to AA+ back in 2011 amid a debt limit crisis. Of the three main credit companies, Moody's remains the only one with a top rating for the U.S. Now, in September, the U.S. national debt hit an all-time high of $33 trillion. The previous record of $32 trillion has been set in June, when Washington avoided a technical default by passing a law that temporarily abolished the national debt ceiling until 2025. So what they did, they didn't solve the problem. They allowed more of the same garbage. They didn't say, hey, how do we lower the deficit here or the debt? No, they didn't do that. They said, we can borrow more. Let's go. Interest rates have shifted materially and structurally higher, a senior credit officer at Moody's said in an interview with Bloomberg. This is the new environment of rates. Our expectation is that these higher rates and deficit around 6% of GDP for the next several years and possibly higher means that the debt affordability will continue to pressure the U.S., end quote. So how would you then rate the guys in charge? If these are just signs that things are not going well under their watch. So what you should do? The obvious move would be change these guys. Look what's going on at the border. Is that a good thing? No, it's not. It's not. But they keep going. But they did something about abortion. Okay, well, abort how much you want, but pretty soon you're gonna have no food for yourself to eat to go and have an abortion. This is an example. They care about purple hair. Pretty soon you're not gonna have people with purple hair because they're gonna be starving or be homeless and take drugs and all this garbage. Who's gonna produce? The guys printing money and the banks typing figures for you because you don't produce shit, not even good weapons. That was the last thing. Cars, forget about it, but they want more money. Produce something good that people will buy and then they can afford having it. I suspect GM will just crack and then that's gonna be again, the bill was gonna be given to us. Hey, bail out GM is too big to fail. After they get what? They're gonna get what? Increases and bonuses and money? Do they deserve that? If they're profitable. If not, they should not be in business. Like us, if I lose my job and I can't compete with others in getting another job, then I lose everything I got, material. But hey, it works to us, but doesn't work to them or for them. like this, you can't have, you can't have a, first, we don't have a homogeneous society. That's the first one. Not even by, I'm not going to talk about other things, but you don't have it even as goals. Goals. Compare that with 1940s, 1930s, 1920s. If a world war would break up right now, United States would not. Well, we have the number, we still have weapons, but the quality, the human quality, I think, in this country is not the same as it used to be. I'm trying to be nice, but I think you understand. That's what not I think. I see that what they promote, and I rub shoulders with people. So I see what is right here, and you just have to hear stories if you don't open a book and look about the history and read about it to figure out what's going on now, what kind of values are now. Tolerance, don't show up at work on time, it's acceptable. Don't work too hard because that is what? Exploitation. Give me more than I produce, than I value. This is not normal. And this is one of the consequences. Well, who's the patriot? The guy who's gonna yell at me for pointing out realities and garbage? Is that a patriot? No, because he's putting under the rug, sweeping under the rug the misery, the problems, instead of pointing them out and say, how do we change that? And I think that we change that by an attitude in a society. The attitude is the most important thing, the attitude. And the power of, how do you call it, self-restraint. Thank you very much for being with me again today. But that's also an attitude. You have to have a certain attitude. You have to have goals, postpone gratification. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.